Welcome to this snowy Tuesday in Red Wing, and we're excited to have all of you here. I'm Stacy Nimmo. I'm the Executive Director at Red Wing Ignite, and we're very excited about this series featuring Red Wing-based businesses and startups. And we're so pleased to have Susan Langer here. Shannon is going to give you a little bit more background and info before we dive in here and then hand it over to Susan. But Red Talks, RED stands for Reinvention, Entrepreneurialism, and Determination. And we have been very thrilled to have some wonderful business owners from the Red Wing area who really embody that reinvention, entrepreneurialism, and determination. And Susan certainly does as well. And just a couple of notes coming up, and we'll talk a little bit more about this at the very end. Our next Red Talk will be on Tuesday, November 17th, and that will feature Carl Nobelsdorf. And then downtown Main Street will be helping to host a panel regarding the holiday stroll on Tuesday, December 15th. And so mark your calendar. We would love to have you join us back. But here today we have Susan Langer with Live.Give.Save, and her product, her fintech product, based right here in Red Wing, is Spave, and we're super excited. Susan, I have been following along the last few months, and you have experienced some incredible growth in 2020, despite all of the challenges of COVID. And I think really in many ways there has been some silver lining that has opened up new doors. And it's with that determination that I know that you have just continued to plow forward and pour all of your efforts into Live.Give.Save. And so we're excited to hear about that and excited to be able to ask some questions about what your journey has been like, and especially what the last few months has been like, and what is in store here yet for the remainder of 2020. So with that, I am going to go ahead and turn this over to Shannon and Susan. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Stacey. Thanks so much. We're so excited to hear from Susan. For those of you that maybe haven't joined us before on the Red Talk, I just wanted to give you a tiny little bit of history. We started this series last February as part of the Big Turn Music Festival here in Red Wing. We had some conversations with the executive director of that festival, Sam, and just wanted to figure out how Red Wing Ignite could play a role, how we could elevate kind of the entrepreneurial side to the music and art scene. So we hosted 2 panels that pulled February, Saturday here in our building, pre-COVID and all, when there were still festivals and people were gathering in person. And after that day, it was an exciting group of people. It was fun to hear people and focus on kind of the entrepreneurial efforts right here in Red Wing and in the region. We decided this is something we want to do regularly. We wanted to embrace this idea of telling the Red Wing story, oftentimes with a connection to Red Wing Ignite, but not always. So many amazing creators and small business owners and entrepreneurs that either call Red Wing their home or from here and have a story to tell. And so we started that in May. We took a few months off to try and figure out what we wanted the Red Talks to look like. And that's, like Stacey said, where we came up with the RED acronym. And then we kicked it off in May. And we've had some great presentations, which are all stored on the Red Wing Ignite YouTube channel. So hopefully when those of you who are listening have some time to go back and listen to other presenters, and we'll be able to share Susan's to many ahead in the future. So Susan is a friend of ours. We know her well. She's been part of the Red Wing Ignite family and was a member of our I6 Challenge Grants management team for a number of months. And so it's great to feature her and her story today. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about herself, but she has a 30+ year career. She lives here in Red Wing with her husband, Gary, and a fascinating path to where she may have started as a young adult and young professional to how in the world she ended up here in Red Wing with a fintech company. So Susan, warmest welcome to you. And I'm going to turn it over for you to start telling us your story.
Oh, Shannon, thank you so much. And it's great to see you again. I miss seeing you guys. And thanks, Stacy, too. I love the whole idea of the Red Talks. I think that it is so awesome to be able to spotlight all of the great entrepreneurs that are in Red Wing, but also I know within the southeast Minnesota region. I think what I like most about Red Wing Ignite is that it also has ignited so much for my business, but so many other people. For how I found my path to Red Wing Ignite, I don't know. I mean, it is incredible to me how I ended up where I am right now. If I would have known now, or if I would have known 5 years ago what it would have taken to get to where I'm at right now, I'm not sure I probably would have embarked on it. But now that I'm here, I'm really delighted and grateful for all of the resources that I've been able to be connected to because of Red Wing Ignite and the E1 Collaborative. But my background really is in banking, marketing, and philanthropy. And it really makes up the organization that I founded called Live.Give.Save. And it's all about helping people help themselves and help others. And it's why I really appreciate all of that Red Wing Ignite and E1 is doing. It's about really bringing resources to people to help them make more healthy decisions and to strengthen them and empower them to be the best that they possibly can be in their family, in their community, and in the world. So I come from humble beginnings in Bay City, Wisconsin, just across the river here. Grew up and just went to school. I never even got a college degree. So how could I be running a business? I'm not sure. But it all takes relationships, and it takes a lot of hard work, and it takes people that would invest in individuals and people that invested in me and gave me opportunities. But it also is a lot of grit. You hear that from so many people, and you have to realize if you're going to step out and step into something that is going to be your own endeavor, that it's not going to be all easy. But nothing worth anything of value is ever easy, is it? It's really about opening up your mind and opening up your heart and just stepping out with courage and conviction, and then taking on whatever it is that's going to happen, because within any given day, you can be high on a mountaintop and you can be down on your knees in a matter of seconds. So having a support system and having people around you that care about you and that are authentic and that want to see you move forward is really invaluable. And that's what I've seen all along the way. If I look at how I pulled together all of the resources for me to move Live.Give.Save forward, it was the first introduction that I had to Red Wing, and that was Neela. Kristen Ford introduced me to Neela back in, I think it was the spring of 2015. And I knew right then and there that she was someone that was pretty special and that I wanted to get to know, and I wanted to just learn from and grow from. She had a lot of connections. And then I needed office space. So I ended up with an office space at Red Wing Ignite. And that gave me connections to people. And also in a co-working environment, as many people might know, when you work by yourself, it really is lonely. And so having that office space and that co-working space was so incredibly mentally powerful. We would have our gatherings around the table, and you would be able to feel a little bit more like you had people to bounce ideas off of, et cetera, like you do in a normal office. So I have felt extremely supported. I was connected to Mark Thine from the SBDC, and that was another amazing connection who helped me build financials, and then a connection to the Red Wing Port Authority with Sherry Chorney, who then gave me, I used those financials from Mark to apply for a loan and received a loan from the Port Authority. Also connected to Smith, the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, which eventually I ended up getting a loan from them. And yeah, just the connections of all of the relationships and resources and people were everything to me.
So we need to know what Live.Give.Save is about. Obviously, there was a point in your aha or in your career, in the work you were doing, or maybe volunteer work, or maybe a combination of all of the above, where you're like, I have this idea. As we all know, most entrepreneurial efforts start that very way, with a dream, with a napkin, with a premonition, with a thought. And so you clearly had this idea. Tell us where that inspiration came from, and then tell us what Live.Give.Save is actually doing in its, in its life.
What is this?
What is it doing?
Yeah, so it all happened back in 1995 when I traveled to Africa on a mission trip. And, I don't even know why I went. It was like the craziest thing. I didn't know anybody that I traveled with. And it really was something that it was a calling. And on the trip, I met these women, these extraordinary women micro entrepreneurs who were living in abject poverty. They were repaying their loans at a 99% repayment rate. And I was like, wow, what is going on here? How do they do that? At the time I was working with First Bank, and I was marketing their credit card portfolio, which was at the time the nation's largest one. And we weren't seeing those kind of repayment rates at all. No, we were seeing a surge in spending and a dearth of savings. And I'm like, there's got to be a way that we can use the magic of micropayments to help people help themselves and save easy and to give easy. I also, on that trip, I was matching dollar for dollar what I was spending on myself, from airfare to tchotchkes. And I thought, gosh, if I could just swipe my card and there was a way that it could match those dollars, I wouldn't have to write a check, but I would automatically be able to give that money to World Vision, which was the organization that I had traveled with. So that's where it all started churning around in my head. And the technology just wasn't available then. You would have been, you would have been adding more debt, onto your credit card. So that didn't make sense. But so it never left me. And I kept talking to people, my friends at the banks, and saying, gosh, why don't you do something like this? There's got to be a way that you can figure it out. And, no, they didn't. And they still aren't today. If you look at bank apps or financial apps, nobody's incorporating giving into the full financial equation. So it never left me. I was helping launch a nonprofit out of General Mills called Partners in Food Solutions. And, we'd gotten it to a point where, we had done a lot of things. In fact, we had hosted a couple really high profile delegations in Africa, including one with Barack Obama. And we were at a point where it was like maintenance. And I knew at that time I needed to step out and do something on my own. But it wasn't until I saw Acorns and another app, and I thought, oh, God darn it, the technology is now there. We can finally do it. So that's when I stepped out and stepped into it. And I had no idea how much it would take. So what is Live.Give.Save? Live.Give.Save is a company that created a product called Spave, which is an all-in-one financial wholeness app. I'm sure you maybe have thought or heard of Mint, which is a budgeting app. And there's Acorns that I just spoke about that rounds up spare change and puts it into a mutual fund. And then there's Digit, which has an algorithm that says, okay, we see the money going in and out of your checking account, and we think that you can afford this. So they'll take the money themselves out of your checking account and transfer it to their savings. And then of course, everybody knows the United Way. Well, we're all of those things in one. Also Venmo. So we also now, in this new release that we're coming up, you can transfer funds between different people that have the app for free and immediate. So imagine, instead of opening up those 4 or 5 apps, you can open up one app and you can engage with your finances. We have the ability for you to analyze all of your spending. So imagine if you have all your credit cards and your debit cards, even your Target store card in one place, and you can see all of your spending, and you can see, oh, look at how much I'm spending on groceries, or I'm spending on gas, or I'm spending on whatever. And you can start making some moves in engaging with your finances in a way that's healthy. And we'll give you nudges along the way to say, oh, did you realize that you've spent this much more on, for me, alcohol, probably, or what have you. And then you can, oh, okay, no, I didn't know that. And then also we'll reinforce the good behaviors that you have for reaching goals, or for giving to your favorite charities, or for referring Spave to other people. So it's about really helping people better understand how they're engaging with their finances and to make more healthy decisions. Called Spave. Spave stands for sharing purpose and value every day.
Nicely done. How does one person get this on their phone? It's my understanding that you're going to have some new versions of this launch in the coming weeks. maybe in
Yeah.
8 months? Yeah, so
Yeah.
how does someone start using it?
So Spave 2.0 will be in the App Store and Google Play. So the last one will be just in the App Store. Yeah, by early December. So we hope by December 11th, that's our goal. And it'll just be the giving module. We'll be doing staggered releases. So the first release will be early December with giving. And we'll get some traction with that. And then our next release will be sometime in January. And then the full release will include the giving, the saving, and the insights by the end of January. We have 10 nonprofits that have raised their hand to say that they would pilot with us. So we're super excited about that, including the Red Wing Y. Yay, Red Wing Y. And then we also have a credit union that recently said that they wanted to be the first credit union to pilot that. And that's a credit union in the Midwest, which I can't say who it is, but they've got 300,000 members and the average age is 37. So that's right in our sweet spot of it. And it's connected to higher ed, which is also a very positive thing.
That's really exciting. So I obviously know a little bit just because of our time together here and watching this evolve. But for those folks that will be listening, literally they go to the App Store like they do for everything else. I don't know, poker, Facebook, your grocery list, and they'll download the app. And then initially when there's a giving portion, so somehow I'm connecting this to a range of nonprofits that I want to support, and you're connecting my spending. Is that how that's going to work?
That's so cool. Thanks. I'm so close to it all the time. I think that everybody just figures it out. So you download the app and you link all of your bank accounts, your checking, your savings, all your credit cards, and even your investment accounts. And then you select from your charities that touch your heart from our database of more than 1.5 million accredited charities. So we also have the ability, what we want is for people to be able to select the charities that touch their heart. So you can do it by interest, by location, or by name. And as you enter the app, we'll give you a list of 20 different categories, if you will, and you can click those. And then the next click, if you will show you a list of organizations in your area that align with, animals or with education or healthcare. And then you can further filter through that, or you can just type it in and look up your organization. We also have a section called trending. So like COVID, Black Lives Matter, fires in California, a disaster somewhere, and we'll curate those organizations and put them under those trending. And then we have spave faves. And those are the ones where we have the relationships with those organizations, and you can just quickly connect and link with those organizations. And once you've set up the organizations that you want, and then you can also save. What are you going to save for? Are you going to save for a vacation? Are you going to save for the holiday gifting or for a car? You set your savings goals. Then each time you set a goal and each time you identify an organization, you decide, do I want to round up spare change, or do I want to apply a percent? So that's another differentiating factor of spave, is that you can apply a percent to each purchase that you make. So think of tipping or taxing yourself, but obviously way better because the money comes to you or to the organization. And so once you've done that, you kind of just set it and forget it, and you watch your spavings grow.
Yeah, I think it's so exciting. I obviously am no expert on what fintech is out there. I mean, some of the things you talked about and you said people will have heard of. Yeah, I've heard of, but it seems like most of them are very compartmentalized. I get that there's some places that advertise being able to round up, and I know there's other ways. There's a lot of ways to manage your retirement, but it just seems like it's such a convenient, easy, simple, one-stop shopping for planning for your future and for giving. Should you choose, I think it's important for people to know you don't have to give. You might just use the retirement part, or you might use just I'm going to go on a beach vacation savings account. But there is all of the aspects are there. So to me, it seems so simple, but it all lives in one app. Whereas probably people who are familiar with the concept would have to manage it in several different places. I think that's one of the beautiful things about it.
Yeah, exactly. We just saw a study from TIAA and the George Washington University that talked about millennials and their managing their finances and how they do it. And there's app fatigue, no question out there. They're sick of opening up all these different apps. They want to have everything all together, and they're tired of their banks just shoving products at them. So we're putting control, choice, and convenience in the palm of the consumer's hand, is what we always say, so that the consumer can decide what they want to do. To your point, Shannon, it's not about like trying to get people to give if they don't want to. We're not trying to force them to do that. It's more about letting them choose what they want to do. And so in providing that mechanism for them, and then giving them reinforcing messages and notifications, look what you're doing, because of you, another kid went to camp, because of you, a community in Africa got more access to clean water. This is kind of interesting. So one of my girlfriends who has an agency up in Minneapolis, she and I are on the CEO roundtable together, and she was like, Susan, I would love to be able to offer this to my employees as part of an employee benefit package. And they would then have the app, and whatever they spave to, as far as for charitable giving, we would match those dollars up to a certain amount. Another gal that I met that has a coffee, not a grinder, but anyway, it's a roaster, coffee roaster in Casa.
They're important people. We can't forget them.
Yeah, they're awesome. She's like, I want to be able to spave to our community, and for every purchase that somebody makes, we would be able to spave. And I said, well, they'd have to download the app, and that'd be great if you promoted it to them. But you could link your business checking and your business credit card to it, and you could put 1%, and then you identify the organization in your community, and each month 1% of your purchases for your company would go to that organization. You can switch it up next month and next month and next month.
Really clever. Yeah, really clever. I think it's such a nice way. I mean, you're in this small community in this Midwestern giving big heart part of the country, not that other places don't give, but it's such a simple way for someone who has a strong affinity for the charity down the street, or they're into saving the whales. That was one of the things that impressed me from the beginning, is when you actually had those thousands and thousands of charities that you could choose from. I just think that's such an amazing option for people, that you can absolutely support your neighbors, your friends, your churches, your civic organizations that are right here in Red Wing, or wherever you call home.
Exactly. Eventually you'll be able to spave to maybe another startup or to a GoFundMe. We want to set the mechanism where you choose where your spavings go. Parents and grandparents can spave for their kids and their grandchildren. You can spave for your godchildren. If you can connect an account, awesome. We'll have group giving also, and group savings, so families can save for a vacation together, and that's how you teach financial literacy and engagement with your kids. Also, you can give together, so employees or groups or friends can give to an organization together as well. There was something else. So over the summer, speaking of E1 and all of the resources that I've been blessed to be connected to, one was when COVID hit, a lot of the college's internship programs were canceled. The corporate internship programs were canceled, which was awful. So these kids, that they rely on getting that experience and something on their resume. So I was able to connect with St. Olaf, St. Mary's University in Rochester, Winona, and then also Winona State University. We had 6 interns, and one of those interns was from a high school. She's a total prodigy. She's amazing, from the Century High School in Rochester. And I aligned them with our pillar leads, and our pillar leads were all the different disciplines, from marketing and promotion to finance and the product, data analytics. So it was really cool to watch how we could connect these interns and these students who are studying those specific categories, if you will, with experts that have been doing this for a long time. And that I feel like it was a co-mentorship, because we learned so much from these students. It was so much fun. They took on their projects with such pride and such vim and vigor. And at the end of the summer, I just wanted to cry to let them go. And one of them is still working with us on the data analytics piece of it. But because I think we did a really good job with engaging them and making it fun and meaningful for them, we got another project from St. Olaf. And I've got another team of students working on developing our social media plan. And I'm telling you, I almost cried the first presentation that they gave me. I definitely had chills on their first and their second presentation. And what they did is that they analyzed all of those that I mentioned before, Mint, Acorns, Digit, they looked at all their social media and they compared that and they said, how can we be better? How can we stand out even better? And what other ideas can we have to keep that going? I mean, I don't even know how to use Instagram. I mean, it's ridiculous.
You're gonna.
Well, I don't know. I don't speak the language. I don't know how to leverage it. And just looking at how they think, it's just so exciting. I love it. And then we got another intern recently from the University of Minnesota, Carlson School of Management. They have a deluxe e-ternship for fintechs specifically. And she's helping us with our nonprofit onboarding process. So we've got this whole process from, you get a warm lead from one of your, board of directors, and you send out an email to them explaining what the program is. And then, you do the follow-up and you have a pitch deck. And then now you have to engage them with the material. So part of that too is creating this spave kit, which one of our interns helped us do, but I really had a professional team put it together. But, and that spave kit, by the way, Stacy, thank you. It was funded by Red Wing Ignite's Technical Assistance Fund. So there's another check the box resource that we had access to. So that spave kit was huge for us, because what does it do? It provides that turnkey marketing toolkit for the nonprofit to be able to push out communications to their members, their donors, and the people and their volunteers. And so they don't have to think about it. They just push them out. So that was pretty cool.
A couple of things based on what you said, Susan. The first is what an amazing experience that, even though it wasn't necessarily what the interns were looking for at the beginning of the summer, they got in a work environment that is not always easy. I mean, they wouldn't necessarily look for, I want to go to a small startup company, but what an experience you gave them to show that side of the business. And we all know what an incredible role small business and entrepreneurs play across the entire ecosystem in this country. And so I just think you will have planted some seeds and built some relationships that'll impact their career paths and their choices for years and years to come. So what a win-win for both of you. And then going back to Susan, you said entrepreneurs first and E1. So for a few of you that are on the phone or on the video that don't know about that, so there's an initiative in southeastern Minnesota called Entrepreneurs First. And Red Wing Ignite leads that group of 17 now partner organizations across 11 counties. And we work together and we all bring different resources to the table, and we do, we make changes and we shift and we adapt and we kind of grow along with one another, trying to figure out how to best serve entrepreneurs. And this is a great example of many of those resources that Susan has talked about are people in this E1 collaborative really coming together and elevating the entrepreneur, because it can be very lonely. As Susan probably has felt at times, and although there are a lot of support systems, I think that it's sometimes harder to find those in the rural communities than you find maybe in the Twin Cities and the 7-county metro. But this E1 collaborative has taken the resources that exist all around this part of the state and come together. So entrepreneurs don't have to try and figure out, who would even go Google Red Wing Ignite? Like that wouldn't be something you would think exists. Or a particular co-working space in another community that comes with its own set of resources. So it's just, you did a great job talking about those resources and what a difference they've made for you, and we hope will continue to make lots of impacts for entrepreneurs to come. So one of the things I wanted to comment on is, I would guess what I know about you is you probably didn't consider yourself techie before this, or a tech person, or like, oh, I'm gonna start a tech company. And so I think that it's intimidating sometimes, often to girls, to women, maybe to minorities, maybe to people that don't consider themselves very tech savvy, and yet there is there's technical components to any business that you start. You can't not have something that's technical in some aspect in today's world. So I think it's interesting, and I'd love to hear you talk about that you weren't the one writing code. You weren't the techie person, you had a vision, you knew you were going to need a team. And we actually have a comment from one of our listeners about how your team has expanded to build this framework and these partnerships. So it sort of relates, and then I want to go back to the other part of the question, but you know, it's not like you've been writing code in your basement by yourself for 4 years, getting spave to market. So I think just talking to people about how that can be very intimidating, that you needed technology, but you knew you couldn't do that yourself.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do it myself. I had hired an individual early on as a CTO, and he was originally from Red Wing, but he hadn't lived there since high school. But he helped me identify and do an RFP, if you will, for finding a vendor selection process to look for a tech company that actually would help build our app. And we were looking for a company that had experience with financial services, was good in cybersecurity and data analytics. And so we picked this firm out of India, NIIT Technologies, and they were great, but I think, you know, hindsight is always 20/20, right? They were really about building enterprise solutions. And while we had a vision for an enterprise solution, we were like their first startup endeavor. And so that was not good. They really didn't have the right flexibility, if you will, and skills. And they were, I mean, enormously expensive. So even though that they were in India, so that was probably, you know, look back, I maybe wouldn't have done that. And the CTO that I had hired was not a coder at that time, but he did help me in so many ways of creating fundamentals in the operations and really to be able to set up our foundational ops side of our business strong. So that was really good. And then with that organization that we worked with, NIIT Technologies, we ended up with Ajay, who is our co-founder and CTO. And he really has, you know, taken, and he always says, I digitize Susan's analog. So it is, and it's very true. But he took that, the first time he came, they flew in from all corners of the United States down to Red Wing Ignite. And we did the whiteboard session about what we're looking for. And they gave us the best pitch ever. But he saw it. It was his vision that he got to make this integrated, very complex dynamic integration, I should say, platform, which we now have a patent pending on, put together. And now he's building it with a different team. But yeah, I have no technology, but I'm learning, and I have learned very quickly and a lot. I can assure you.
And so who currently makes up your team when you talk about your team? What kind of team are you operating with?
So we have Ajay, who does the technical side of it. We've got Clay DeVries, who is our chief product owner. So he's really on the user experience side of it, and really has driven the development of our new wireframes, helped us with a journey map and all of that over this year. That we used the funds that we got from Launch MN at the beginning of this year. We took down the app from the App Store, COVID hit, all that stuff, and then used those funds to really build out our team, and then also do market research, and then create these new user interface. And that's what Clay is responsible for. And then we have Darlene Polzine, who is our CFO. She's a fractional CFO. She also works with Xena Therapies, which is in Red Wing too. And we have a project manager who is Sabi. So she is like running everybody. She's managing everybody, and finally got that plugged in. So we have a comprehensive roadmap and project plan. And then we have Andreas, and Andreas is our front end developer for all of the app and the front end user. And I don't even know all of the stuff with it. And then we have Gokul, who is our back end developer, and Devaki, who is our testing engineer. And we have a couple other part-time testing engineers on the side. And then Indri, I mentioned, he is our data analytics guy. He's working with Ajay. We're creating, which is kind of fun, not kind of fun, it's very cool. It's a spave health score. And so you have your credit score, which is great, but they're somewhat becoming obsolete. There's unique ways of people going about. A firm is one of those organizations in Cecil who really does a different type of analysis on if you're credit worthy or not. We're creating a new health score that helps people determine how healthy it is based on a number of different characteristics, which I don't even know what they are right now, but
Does
that's
it have to do with how many lattes you order? Because I'm worried about that. I'm real worried about that.
or glasses of wine at night, maybe.
Can you turn that off? Can I turn that off in my own app? Alert, alert, you crossed the limit.
Exactly. But it's really just about helping people, again, making those better decisions and giving those nudges. I don't know if you've read the book Nudge or Nudges, I can't remember, but it is excellent. I highly recommend it. It's about how do you help people make better decisions. It's from like in a grocery store, a cafeteria line. And if you put all the desserts on that counter, people are gonna, pick those, or if you put fruit up there, just giving them those nudges. We want to do that too in our app.
Well, I think it's so impressive because, again, I think it's so important for people to realize you had an idea, you didn't know exactly how you were going to get there, and look at this team of people that you've been able to compile after lots of twists and turns and ups and downs and funding and no funding. And so, but it's really, really exciting, and it shows that any one person anywhere with an idea can do this. You don't need to be techie, you don't need to know it all yourselves, and you will build it, and you will find the help that you need with partnerships and collaboration. So that was great to hear about the team.
It's so true. I was just on a bunch of pitches this morning and having a conversation, and there are people that are serial entrepreneurs, and one of them is on my board. I mean, he's turned a number of companies, and he's such a great asset to have. But this is my one. This is my one thing, and I mean it. To me, is no question, it's a calling. I would never put myself or anybody else through this ever again. Not at this age, anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So I want to go back to Burke had another question about if you've had to do large consumer surveys in order to evaluate the market demand, like how you've been able to tell what the demand in the market is for this kind of app.
Great question, Burke. We've done a ton of research. We did focus groups, qualitative research early on. And then we've done, I'm always getting studies and third-party types of research. And we did also some quantitative surveys through Google. I don't think we did Facebook, it was just Google. And that was very interesting. And then just this last spring, we did some more one-on-one qualitative research with individuals and having them look at the app and asking different questions. And so we validated our premise and our market, our value proposition through those types of items. But we are continually, everything for us is all about a continuous feedback loop from the users in the app, from surveys that we'll continue to be doing. We want to have this visionary advisory board, which one of the interns created. And it's about having constant ability for pushing things out to them and testing them and say, what do you think about this? And getting feedback from them, but then also our nonprofit partners and learning and listening from them.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So obviously in all of these months that we've been doing this, one of the questions that people want to know the answer to is related to COVID. And if COVID made any changes in your business, did it have an impact in the growth or in the process that you were in? Obviously, COVID was a gift from the intern perspective, but anything else related to COVID and how it's impacted your business, Susan?
Yeah, in the research that I was just talking about, we learned from people that after COVID, they wish that they would have not spent as much. They wish that they would have saved more, and they definitely are motivated to give more and to their community. The social unrest was another thing that really generated a lot of issues. So we feel like COVID and all of the issues that 2020 has brought, challenges to so many people. It has been unbelievable for us of how it's really propelled us forward as an organization. I didn't want to take the app off the App Store. I had been challenged by my board several times because just our vendor expenses were immense. It was like $7,500 that we were, our burn rate each month for AWS, for Yodlee, and for Dwala and other things. But when we got the funding from Launch MN and COVID hit, it was pretty easy to make that decision. Ever since making that decision, have you ever had a real tough decision you didn't want to make it, and it's like, I'm going to be a failure then? But really, it just opened the doors for us for more possibilities and more opportunities. So it's great.
Yeah, that's great. That's good to hear. What is your biggest challenge today? Like, what is it that there's probably 12 things keeping you up at night, but like, what is the next big hurdle for you and your company?
Really, it is to be able to have a full-time team. That is the biggest challenge for me personally, is that we've taken it, as far as we can go, we feel like financially. I've been blessed we've raised over $700,000 through 2 convertible notes, which are debt instruments, basically. Loans, like I talked about the Port Authority, getting loans in from Smith, and then the grant. And so that's quite a bit of money, but that's over 5 years. And we're building a fintech that has a lot of security responsibilities with people's data and sensitivity. And also we filed a patent, we have 3 trademarks, it's pretty expensive. So really getting that funding right now. So we're in our first equity round where we're raising 2.5 million, which isn't anything to sneeze at, but we've got investors that are currently with us that are rolling into that. And so we're gaining momentum there, but that's been the hardest thing, Shannon. I mean, I know what I've gone through over these years, and you pitch and you pitch and you pitch and you get every excuse, oh, you need a prototype. Okay, well, I have 3 prototypes. Okay, you need a beta. All right, we did a beta and it was successful. Okay, now you need to have a product in the App Store. Okay, we're in the App Store. Now you need to see it. What's your retention? What's your attrition? I'm like, oh my God.
Show me the money. Yeah. So related to that conversation, another question is, how does spave earn income? So how in the end are you going to be able to pay your mortgage?
Yeah, what's our business model?
Yeah, like how does that work? Where, I think people are familiar with fees and percentages or add-ons or something. So how does your business model work?
Yeah, and this is where I think age and experience comes into play, where it doesn't allot into startups. I feel like I'm the mom of most of the kids in the cohorts that I'm in, but I have, was basically cut my teeth on direct marketing in banking. And it's all about understanding the data. And so I wanted to create a model that was a win-win-win, and to do it in a way where especially the nonprofits didn't suffer but benefited from it. And so our model is all about, we have a 2-tiered fee-based revenue model. We apply a 6.5% fee to each giving transaction. Now, it's super important to understand that that's not paid by the user and it's not paid by the nonprofit. It's paid by a donor advised fund. So let's say you spent $1,000 in 1 month on gas, groceries, and that I gotta have latte. And you applied a 10% spaving to your church, or your charity, whatever it is. So at the end of the month, it looks at that $1,000 and that 10%, and it takes $100 out of your checking account. I mean, it does it every week, but just stick with me on this. And then it goes into the donor advised fund. You get 100% tax deduction from that. All right. That donor advised fund pays us the $6.50, and they pay $3.50 to the database of more than 1.5 million accredited charities. And so $10 is taken out of that, and then 90 ends up with the charity. Now, the charity spent no overhead, which is so precious for nonprofits, no overhead, but they got new revenues through a new channel, and it's revenues that they wouldn't have gotten or would have paid enormously, substantially more to have raised. So that's one way that we get paid. And the other way is through a licensing by banks and credit unions. So we have an average annual subscription fee of $3.50 per user annually. So that's pretty cheap, but it's all about that giving transaction piece of it, where it's a win-win-win for everybody.
So, you probably remember this about me, but I'm not really good at math. So in the scenario that you just went through, it was 10% of that money that went to the fees, wasn't it? Was it like 10%? Like
10% went to the charity. So if it was $1,000 and it would have been 10%, $100 off $1,000 is 10%, right? I don't do math.
But I'm trying to figure out.
All right, it'd be $100.
With the numbers, yeah.
And then there's another 10% that is the fees that were paid. So $100 goes to the donor advised fund, which is to the charity, if you will. And then that donor advised fund pays $10 for enabling that transaction to happen. And then $90 goes to the charity.
I think we're on the same page.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to take an algebra test about it, but I think we're on the same page. So I think one of the things that's beautiful about that is so many people that get offers and you get calls and solicitations and trying to support all these causes. We all know that the percentage that ends up at the charity is often very minimal. And that in my years on the planet of saying yes to things, I've learned to ask that question, like, what's the percentage of the charity actually will see? So I think this is so respectful in that you're really trying to make an impact, and the charity is going to see such a significant amount out of whatever it is the person decides to give them.
There hasn't been one nonprofit that I have spoken with that doesn't see this and it checks a box for them. I mean, that's my background too, is working at fundraising for organizations and doing marketing for nonprofits and serving on boards for nonprofits. That overhead is so precious. And remember, over the past, I'd say, 20 years or maybe a little bit more, the boomers, and then even some of the millennials, the younger generations, they want to direct and restrict or designate the gift. So I want you to put this towards a school. I want you to put it towards here. And that doesn't help the nonprofit at all. It handcuffs them because there's strategic things that are going on that the donors don't even understand or know, and they need to be free to make those decisions. And it's called GenUp dollars. So general operating dollars. And so that's exactly what we're creating for them, are these GenUp dollars. They get to decide what to do with the dollars. All they need to do, and what will work with them, is to provide customized messages that will go into the app that says, again, back to that, I think I'm repeating myself now. I sound like my mom.
That's all right. That's usually a compliment. I'm sure she would see it that way.
Yeah.
So someone just asked about PayPal. Would PayPal see spave as a competitor?
No, we see them as a complementer. You'll be able to use PayPal eventually within our app. Right now, it's that modular release, but those types of payment services can be incorporated within that as well.
That's awesome. So there's going to be people that hear this for years to come. This is going to be a classic on the YouTube. And what piece of advice? What's your best piece of advice for someone that's just listening, drinking their latte? I have an idea. I'm terrified. What would you say to them?
I would say think long and hard, pray a lot about what that is. If you're willing to put it all in, because you have to be willing to put it all out there. And if you have a good support system, I am blessed that my husband is supportive. I read so many things and saw this happen. Divorce rate is extremely high in startups because it's, you are continually strapped financially. I mean, we had our house was mortgaged with some loans, and that was really tough for us. If we didn't have a strong marriage and a strong faith, I don't think we'd still be married. And I don't know where I would be, sucking my thumb in some corner somewhere. But you have to be all in, and you have to see it and feel it as something that is just, you have to get it out, and you're going to do it. And that's what you're going to get up every morning and think about, and probably never sleep. Be willing to not sleep.
Yeah. And how would you say, because obviously a lot of people don't get to quit their day job, if you will. So you're trying to find that balance of at what point it becomes your day job. Obviously there's a financial impact there for certain people, but I think finding that balance and not losing sight of what energizes you, and knowing that there probably will come a time that it will come first. But I would imagine that that's a difficult road to walk. And I think also the way you've cultivated these partnerships and collaborations, because like you said earlier, it's going to be very lonely. It's going to be very lonely work. And so anything you would say about either of those things?
Yeah, you nailed it right there. I was thinking too, what I would have added to that is that, there's three things, the 3 R's of of entrepreneurship is the resourcefulness. You have to be resourceful in having, you never have enough resources and you never have exactly what you need. And so you've got to be thinking out of the box constantly. It's about resiliency, because you're always going to be, like I said, you're on a mountain 1 second and you're down on your knees. And it's really being able to get yourself back up again. And then it's relationships, because those relationships are going to, talk you off the ledge. I mean, if Holly Morris is my board advisor, I couldn't love somebody more than I love her. She has totally been there for me when I'm just like sobbing and I don't know what I'm going to do. That is incredible. And I know that you and Neela have been there for me over the years. It's those relationships are absolutely priceless. And you have to make sure that you surround yourself with the right relationships that you can trust. Picking your board, have a small board, have the other advisors. Make sure you're like-minded, like-hearted, like everything. It's got to be equally yoked, because it will nip you in the bud big time if you don't.
Related to that, I know you talked about it, you've pitched a lot. You've pitched in 30 seconds and 60 seconds and 5 minutes and 10 minutes in different states and different cities and different competitions. But would you tell someone that you just got to do it? You just got to keep refining. You got to keep telling your story. You never know where someone's going to hear something that is going to lead to something else for you.
Okay.
You've pitched a lot.
Yes, pitched a lot, and you never know what you're going to get from it, or when it's going to happen, when that fruit is going to come from that engagement, no matter how painful it was. How much I hate pitching. So secret, don't tell anyone. I am so glad I can pitch over virtual. It's like I found my groove, because it takes all that performance, anxiety of standing on a stage or whatever. I mean, I just sweat and I don't even know my name. It's ridiculous. So this has been another gift that has happened. But you have to keep telling it.
Yeah, you got to keep at it. And I think that people would be surprised, several things that you touched on, that there is a scene, there's a startup scene in southeastern Minnesota. Like, that's happening. This is not just about metropolitans. It's not just about the coast. There's a lot of awareness about money that needs to be focused and funneled towards rural entrepreneurship and startups that aren't funded. You are in a minority group, being a woman. So just anything that you would say to people about that there really is a startup scene outside of the metro areas.
Yeah, I will tell you that, 5-6 years ago when I started this out, we were not anywhere near where we're at today. And I say we as in this ecosystem that's amazing. There were things that were happening out there, like, popcorn, and a lot was going on in the cities and everybody knew what was going on there. And there's a lot of noise that's up in the cities. Here, you have a little bit more focus. And the more that we've been able to create this collaborative and connect people through E1, oh my goodness. I mean, E1 is now becoming the model for other regions within the state. And I think it's going to be the model for going out to other rural areas in the United States. I mean, I'm so psyched about it. And I think that anyone that wants to start, I've talked to a number of women entrepreneurs here in the Southern region. It's so cool to be able to link them up with the resources that I've been so blessed to have. And then to see more and more. No, it's very, very cool. Anybody can start something from anywhere right now.
Yeah, that's great. Good points. Well, we are nearing the end of our hour here. It's gone so fast. Is there any parting words or anything else you'd like to share with us, Susan, about your company or your journey, or any last thoughts that you want posted here?
I think the parting words that I would have is just eternal gratitude that I have for Red Wing Ignite and for the love and the support that I have seen and experienced. And I can't thank you enough, Shannon, for what you have been as a friend. It's just been extraordinary. And I wish you and Stacy, you've done such a great job with stepping in at a crazy time for us and building it out. I just wish you all much success, and any way that I can support you guys, I want to support you. It's all about helping people help themselves and help others do better.
Well, thank you. As we all know, teamwork makes the dream work, and you'll forever be part of our Red Wing Ignite family. And it's been such an exciting journey to watch it. I mean, I have felt the pain, not like you have felt, obviously, but I know there have been some very difficult times, and it's so exciting to see the perseverance and the story that you can tell to other women entrepreneurs, to other entrepreneurs that aren't 20 something or even 30 something, entrepreneurs in rural America, and fintech nonetheless. I mean, it's a great story. And so we'll continue to follow along and celebrate with you. And you always have a home here, as you well know, since I know you're only like blocks away from us. We sure appreciate the time you took. I know it's a very busy and a very exciting week for you as you're finishing up with the program you're in right now, and we will look forward to the release. I'm so excited that the Android gets to play along. So
I know it, and everybody needs to download Spave. You'll hear about it from us here. And shout out to my dad. Happy 90th birthday today, Dad.
Oh, I hope there's cake for everyone.
Oh, there is Hanish's, of course. Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much for this opportunity, Shannon and Stacy. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Susan.
We appreciate it very much. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Take good care, drive safe out there, and pretty soon we'll be on the YouTube. Bye.
Bye.